Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and to push the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also check out our Patreon if you want access to our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money, and if you are interested in props and parlay picks, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link to our Patreon and to our new channel in the description and comments section below. Philadelphia 76ers vs Brooklyn Nets. Michael Bridges led the way again for Brooklyn, scoring 26 points in the loss. Bridges is averaging 25.7 ppg over the series, but it has not resulted in a win yet. Spencer Dinwiddie had his best game of the series, scoring 20 points and adding 7 assists. Cam Johnson has continued his strong play, scoring 17 points and barely leaving the floor as he logged 44 minutes. Nick Claxton had an excellent game, scoring 18 points and only missing one shot, but he was ejected after receiving his second technical for taunting after finishing above Embiid. The Nets need more from Dorian Finney-Smith. He has been invisible most of the series. He only scored 3 points in 36 minutes in Game 3. Brooklyn's rotation will be at full strength for Game 4. They were 23-18 on their home floor this season. The Nets ranked 12th in offensive efficiency and 14th in defensive efficiency. The Nets are 24th in pace of play on the season. Brooklyn just suffered a heartbreaking loss in Game 3. The Nets feel as though they should have won, but gave it away in the final moments. Brooklyn's motivation will be tested here as they are down 3-0. Brooklyn will come out flat. They know a comeback in the series is unlikely, and with that doubt in their mind, they will struggle to keep up with Philadelphia. The 76ers just won while getting one of the worst performances of the season out of Joel Embiid. The lowest the MVP candidate scored all season was 12 points, and he only had 14 against Brooklyn in Game 3. Even with the double teams coming, Brooklyn cannot expect to hold Embiid under 15 in back-to-back games. Maxey has been terrific lately and was the main reason Philly won Game 3. The 76ers are the more talented roster. Take Philadelphia to win big and cover the spread. Games 2 and 3 both went under the total. The physical play has ramped up and defenses have been tough. Both teams have rim protectors. Claxton can hold his own blocking shots, and Embiid had a game-saving block down the stretch in Game 3. Neither team plays particularly fast, especially Philly, who only ranks 27th in tempo. Philly plays either pick-and-roll basketball with Harden or Maxey driving off Embiid screens, or they post up Embiid and look for a shooter off double teams. All these offensive sets take time to develop. Brooklyn may take their foot off the gas if the game gets out of hand, as their season may be coming to a close. Expect this game to stay under the total, just like the last two did. Take the under 208.5 points. Phoenix Suns vs Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers need to tighten up their own defense, as their 1.176 raw number in defensive efficiency during this series is downright awful, with or without Leonard on the court. With Leonard possibly on the shelf again, the Clippers cannot afford to get into another shootout-type game with Phoenix because talent usually prevails there, and the Suns would have a distinct edge. Getting back to a grinding defensive mentality should serve the Clippers well in Game 4, it's just whether or not they use it. Decreasing the possessions and banging on Booker and Durant in the half-court every time down the floor is just as detrimental to a team that has no depth like Phoenix as running up and down and playing into the 130s can be. The Clippers seemingly tried both methods in Game 3 and had marginal success with both, losing the first half by 3, 54-51, in a much slower-paced affair, and losing by 2 in the second half, 75-73, in a track meet. You could argue that the Clippers held their own in that shootout second half, and I wouldn't disagree, but I also don't think we see LA shoot 54% from the floor again for the game, whether Leonard's there or not. So for a team like LA, that's got to feel like they are backed into a corner partially by bad injury luck yet again. Game 4 is their last best shot at holding the fort and ultimately try to buy time for Kawhi. The Clippers understand this series isn't likely to come back to LA should they fall down 3-1, and they've now had a full prep period of getting ready to play under the assumption Kawhi is out. It all makes for a scenario where I'm not all that eager to step in front of this desperate Clippers bunch, especially when they are catching points. Knowing that the line is going to move once Leonard's status is known makes it tough to fully love the Clippers in this spot, but putting down a good portion of a unit on LA +5 is my starting point. As deflating as the Leonard injury news apparently was, we also can't rule out the possibility of how inflating positive news on that front for the Clipper could be aside from likely getting the best of the number 2 if Leonard plays. The Clippers have thrived all series when it hasn't been Phoenix's starting five out there, and in what could potentially be their final home game of the season, I expect a secondary Clippers unit that's loved and respected by their fans to do their best to show out. Guys like Westbrook and Zubac can really have an impact on the defensive end, and I do hope Ty Lue employs a game plan where he forces Phoenix to beat them in the half court for as many possessions as possible. Understanding that Leonard being out will see this number climb is reserved for the rest of the unit on the Clippers, and that's never the easiest thing to swallow. Furthermore, the quicker turnaround in game time's last game to finish on Thursday night to an early afternoon Saturday start on Saturday does make it more likely Leonard misses this contest. It's not like it does any favors to all the miles on some of the legs of those Phoenix players. I'll take the points with the home side looking to extend their season and let the chips fall where they may. Our team pick is Clippers plus 5.5 points. The quick turnaround time plays a bigger part in the total I feel, as tired legs and smaller gas tanks generally lead to plenty of jump shots going awry. Phoenix is a team that's got no problem shooting plenty of jump shots with the guys they've got shooting them, and as I said before, I don't think we see the Clippers eclipse the 50% shooting mark again. From a coaching perspective, I'm not sure how there can't be more emphasis on playing better defense on both sides, especially since it was that track meet of a second half that's freshest in the mind. This Game 4 is a huge swing game for this series, and when push comes to shove like that, guys will lock in on defense as best they can every possession. Leonard possibly returning only strengthens the Clippers defensively as well, and while he will bring plenty of scoring touch to hurt an underplay, he's also a guy that prefers to walk it up the floor and execute the sets. Never a bad scenario for an under to hit. Too many game scripts possibly playing out here that make it tough to see the scoring barrage from the second half of Game 3 repeating itself. It's too critical of a game for the Clippers to think they'll outscore the Suns team, and it's too critical of a game for the Suns to think their shots will continue to drop and they can mail in defensive possessions. Not sure we see this one hit 220 when it goes final. Our total pick is under 226.5 points. Milwaukee Bucks vs Miami Heat. Milwaukee evened up the series in a big way in Game 2, despite being without Giannis Antetokounmpo. In the second game, the Bucks got out to a massive lead and led 81-55 at the half. Although the Heat did close the gap in the fourth, outscoring Milwaukee the Bucks 37-20 in the fourth quarter, it still was a blown out. In the game, Milwaukee was led by Brook Lopez, who had 25 points, Jrue Holiday had 24 points and 11 assists, Chris Middleton and Grayson Allen both had 16 points, Bobby Portis had 13 points and 15 rebounds, and off the bench, Pat Connaughton and Joe Ingles had 22 and 17 points, respectively. Miami stole home court advantage by winning the first game of the series, but really had a letdown in Game 2. With Giannis out, Miami had a great chance to go up 2-0 and head home with the series to their advantage. Yet, in the second game, the Heat struggled defensively and it cost them. In the loss, Miami was led by Jimmy Butler, who had 25 points, Bam Adebayo had 18 points, Gabe Vincent had 16 points, Duncan Robinson had 14 points, and off the bench, Caleb Martin and Victor Oladipo both had 15 points. Giannis is expected to be back, and I expect that will lead to a blowout win for the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee had a much better performance in the second game, as they really exposed the Heat's defense, while also playing solid defense themselves. Miami is also shooting ridiculously well, so I do expect them to take a step back and not shoot as well. With Giannis back in the lineup, Milwaukee's offense should also be even better. Meanwhile, the Bucks are 44-34-6 against the spread, while as a road favorite, Milwaukee is 16-7-3. Miami, meanwhile, is 3-2 as a home underdog, and overall is just 51-32-3 at TS Game 2, really showed the difference between these two teams, and I expect a blowout win for Milwaukee. Take the Bucks minus 5.5 points. I also like the over here, as with Giannis back in the lineup, I expect Milwaukee to stay hot offensively. In the two games, the games are averaging 253.5 ppg, so even though I do expect some better defense and Miami to not shoot as well, I still expect it to be above 220 points. Miami is also 43-43 in hitting the over, while at home, the Heat is 23-20, while Milwaukee is 44-40 in hitting the over. The Bucks are also playing at a pace of 102.2, which ranks 11th, and their offensive efficiency ranks 11th. Miami, meanwhile, ranks 29th in pace with a pace of 98, but as we have seen in the playoffs, the pace has been high. Take the over 220 here. Memphis Grizzlies vs Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers' season has been a rollercoaster in 2023. After starting the season 2-10, they managed to battle back to make, and then win, the play-in after a key mid-season trade that landed them D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley. The biggest revelation of the Lakers' season, however, was the emergence of Austin Reeves as a budding star. Reeves vaulted himself from an end-of-the-rotation guy to a key starter for a Lakers team with renewed hopes in just his second year. The Lakers come into Game 3 confident, having taken Game 1 in Memphis and earning home court advantage for the rest of the series. The Lakers average 117.2 points per game this year, good for 4th in the West, which may be tough for Memphis to keep pace with if Ja is out again in Game 3. I've got the Lakers -4 in this one. The Lakers beat the Grizzlies soundly in Game 1 when they were at full strength and should be able to take this one at home, even if Ja Morant plays. Morant's status is certainly the big question mark here, but the Lakers have enough firepower to win this one either way. If Ja does miss the game, it seems unlikely that Xavier Tillman will be able to outplay a true start like Anthony Davis for a second consecutive game. With the emergence of players like Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura for the Lakers, their depth has finally become a strength late in the year, and they should take this one at home by more than 4 points. Take LA -4 points. I'm taking over 221.5 here. Both teams have the firepower to score loads of points, and we are likely to see some of that on Saturday night. Even if Ja Morant isn't able to go in this one, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane are averaging a combined 44 points per game so far this series and can continue to shoulder the offensive load. If Tillman is able to put together another strong game and if Kennard stays hot off the bench, Memphis has plenty of scoring ability left even without Ja. On the loss side, LeBron will continue doing his thing, while Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell are more than capable of putting up high-scoring performances. Particularly if Ja is able to play in this one, the over should hit.